So going into year 4, once again, I'm, truly thankful. I want to thank God for this opportunity, but also Miss B, Dennis, Griff. It's always a blessing to get an opportunity to lead an organization and a group of young men and get to represent this city well. So looking forward to it.
Willie, what's it been like just getting to know Dejounte a little bit? How do you see him fitting in, impacting your team?
It's been great. He's a leader, and he's super excited to be here, to join this team. He adds, another threat offensively, defensively as well, a former all-defensive player. So he's excited to get to work. He's not going to do a ton of talking, but he definitely fits into what we're trying to build here.
I think Griff used the word like alpha. I mean, just from a personality standpoint, what have you noticed there? Is it like a different personality than you didn't have on the team before? Just what do you see there?
He adds to what we have. Griff mentioned it, but he has a dominant personality in the sense that he demands the room, and when he speaks, it's not something that he hasn't done. He's speaking from experience. He's speaking because he's a hard worker. He's invested into his teammates, and we're extremely excited to get Dejounte here. And you look over the course of his career, he's just steadily improved as a basketball player. And for me, getting an opportunity to know him even more as a person has been refreshing.
We talked a lot over the years about the relationship you've built with B.I.
Yeah.
Just how much have you been able to communicate with him this summer, and what's your feel on just his approach going into the season with all the external stuff around him?
Yeah, B.I. is he's been fantastic to be around, to coach, starting with his character. He's since I've gotten here, he's done nothing but been a pro. Anything that we've asked him to do, he's done it. He's a heck of a basketball player, and he's a big reason that this organization and his culture is moving in the right direction. Our relationship continues to be strong. We talked throughout the course of the summer, we text back and forth, and Griff and Bryson alluded to it, but he's committed to coming in this season and getting to work.
And from an on-court perspective, with Dejounte coming in, some of the other pieces coming in, what do you think about just maybe how his role is going to be different, some of the different things you're going to be asking him to do just to be effective with this particular group? Yeah,
I think, Dejounte is going to make these guys' jobs easier. They're going to get even more open looks. That's something that he's done before. It's something that he wants to do now. That's the leadership quality that he brings. And I think it's going to be difficult to stop this team when they're on the floor and they're committed and we're all bought in to playing the right way, which we have. I expect Brandon to do what he does and be elite when he's on the basketball court.
Hey, Willie, since they said ask you roster question.
Absolutely.
Is Daniel Theis your starting center, or are you going to start small, and is CJ potentially going to move to a six-man role?
We don't know yet. I don't know yet. Camp starts tomorrow, and so we'll find out more, once we get to camp. But for me, it's more importantly, it's about collectively getting with this group, getting on the floor, seeing what we have. It's going to be a unique season in that way. We would like to have a set starting lineup. I think it brings some consistency, but we'll see how it goes. We probably have 7 to maybe 9 guys that could all potentially be starters or what have you. But I haven't had any of those discussions with our team yet, and we'll start to dive in it a bit more once we get to camp.
Willie, do you feel like you have to start a traditional center, or are you going to be okay with some nights we're just going to throw a guard, 2 guards, and a couple wings out there? Are you just dead set on the idea of starting a true center?
I'm not dead set on it. I'm pretty undecided, but I have some thoughts on it that I'll keep to myself. And then when we get to camp, I just think that your team helps you make those decisions based on the continuity And the fact of the matter is we're going to have a ton of games where we don't have a traditional center on the floor. Okay, so that's going to happen. Most teams, I don't even know most, but teams in the games, and a lot of times it's not a traditional center on the floor. We got to get accustomed to playing that way for a good bulk of the game, a good percentage of the game anyway. But we'll see how it goes.
Just because Griff referred to Golden State earlier,
Yeah.
and their small line, is it instructive or helpful to you to reflect on your time as an assistant there, and is that transferable to what you could be dealing with this year? And also, do you feel like people get too hung up on the formalities of what a lineup is supposed to look like in terms of just saying, well, it's an evolving process and it depends on matchups and how games go?
So to answer the first part of your question, yes, you do. When you have the experience of being on teams that sort of played small ball. I know Bryson talked about it, and they're not really small, but a non-traditional center on the floor. You definitely lean on the experiences and the way in which you had to play to be at your best. And then two, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's people, they get caught up on who's the starting five, but for us, it's like, yes, who's starting. We want to get off to a great start, but also finishing the game. And that's an area that me personally, I have to improve on in the clutch situations as a coach. Putting our team in a situation where we can be successful, where we can finish out games, and we can have a better record in those moments.
Willie, the fact that he has not been the main talking point this offseason, even right now at Media Day, how much do you think that's made this offseason easier for Zion and even for you?
I don't know if it's been easier or not, but we're excited at where Zion is at this point in the year. He's putting in a ton of work. He's steadily improving, and he's already a great player. And just to see him continue to add to his focus, to his nutrition, and the steps that he's taken, we're all excited about. And it's going to be good to get all of our guys together tomorrow and get going.
And knowing that you have a stabilizing piece like Dejounte only weeks away from getting to see him on the floor, how much does that help you sleep at night knowing even if injuries occur, now you have somebody who's consistently there and has really stepped up in the offseason?
Look, we have a talented roster, and I don't know if I'm sleeping better at night because we have a talented roster, but I'm grateful for since I've gotten here, Griff, his staff, they've always done a great job of bringing in high character, high talent, and it allows us to continue to grow on the basketball floor and grow as an organization. Dejounte's a leader, and he made that pretty obvious his first day, his press conference, and having an opportunity to talk to him more. I'm even more impressed with him as a person. And that's what we're about here. We're about, bringing in the right people and bringing in guys that are hungry, that want to get better, and all about doing it together.
Two things, Willie. Number one, for you as a head coach, going into your fourth year, how would you evaluate yourself compared to where you were your rookie season as a head coach and your evolution? And then the other part, when you're instilling something, when you do have a smaller lineup this year, what are the principles, whether it be having to replace the rebounding that you lose out of a Jonas, the offensive rebounding in particular, those types of things. How do you approach that from position groups or individuals and asking them to modify their roles during training camp?
Well, to evaluate myself, I'm definitely getting more comfortable being in the head coaching role, but a lot of improvement for myself. I'm steadily looking for ways to be better. To surround myself with great people, and we've added to our staff that's going to uplift us and to find areas that maybe I'm not as strong in, but these people add and they help bring something that maybe I was missing. So I'm extremely confident, but at the same time, when I evaluate myself, I know that there's room for improvement, and I want to steady climb and steady be a climber as a coach. And what was the second part of your question again?
From an on-the-court perspective, when you're dealing with the guys in training camp, how much are you going to have to change as far as guys adapting to replacing some of the things you are missing with the smaller lineup, having to rebound more on the offensive glass, boxing out in general, guards, coming in more, those types of things?
Yeah, last season, I felt like we played more small ball, non-traditional center on the floor than we ever have. So we've kind of been preparing ourselves anyway. And I think we're going to have to double down on, not having JV, who, like to your point, he cleaned up a lot for us on the rebounding side of things. So we're going to have to double down on being a tough-minded team that can finish possessions, because if we can get defensive stops, our defense has been elite, but the rebounding component is going to be key for us. So getting stops, everybody on the floor understanding how important it is to rebound the ball, and then offensively it allows to play to our strengths.
Griff spoke to some about having excitement about playing a smaller, quicker brand of basketball. But this team traditionally has been toward the bottom of the league in three-point attempts. Would there be a more special emphasis on attempting more three-point shots because you don't have a traditional big and because you're playing more smaller lineups?
It will be. It's another area that I feel like we've grown in, but because we shoot a higher percentage from three, but we still need to take a few more attempts. And I think opening the floor up, being able to attack closeouts will allow us to get more kick-out threes. And so it's definitely, like you said, to your point, it's another area for us to continue to improve, especially because it's, I think we were top 10 in the NBA in three-point percentage. So we want to double down and being able to, really get quality threes up.
Just to follow up on that, with Brandon specifically, we've talked about him needing to get his threes up a little bit. He's acknowledged it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Just what's the dialogue with him on that, and I guess what needs to kind of happen to help him achieve those goals?
Get your threes up, B.I. But he knows. He's aware of it. He'll communicate it to you himself. But it's trying to continue to break some habits. His habit is to get to his sweet spot and jump up and shoot the ball, and he's the elite at doing it. It's an area of growth, something that he's working on, something that he worked on all summer, and he knows that that's a part of that unlocks other components to his game. So I'm excited to get on the floor with him, and we will continue to work.
And just changing directions a little bit, you made a few additions to your coaching staff this summer. Just what can you share about the folks you've added?
Yeah, Dan Giroux coming over from Cleveland. We're extremely excited for him. He's an assistant coach. He'll be running our player development department. Jody Meeks, a former teammate of mine, he was with our G League team, so we elevated him from the G League. And both of those guys, they fit what we're trying to accomplish. I'm truly, like I said, I'm blessed that Griff is like, yep, whoever you need, go ahead and get them. And we're excited to add them to our group and continue to move forward.
Willie, Griff talked about Dejounte kind of adding a proven closer kind of element to his game. And is that something you felt like you all needed in your lineup?
We needed to add definitely, just clutch, being better in clutch, and we think he can add to that. And like I mentioned earlier, I hold myself more accountable than anything in those situations. Trying to put our team in a position that we know what we're running, we know who has the ball in their hands, and we're getting quality looks, not turning the ball over. But he definitely adds in that area, and you look over the span of his career, he's hit big shot after big shot, and he's accustomed to having the ball at the end of the games. So he's definitely going to help us, and it'll be something we continue to work throughout the course of the season.
And Griff also mentioned Zion working on his perimeter game a little bit. We're going to see threes out of Zion. Remember that his career debut? I think he's doing like about 4 in a row or something.
Look, if he's open, especially in the corners, he should definitely take a few. But I think you guys saw, maybe towards the end of the season, he started to take more of a mid-range jumper, something that he's capable of doing and something that he started to work on. Look, teams are they're kind of waiting on him in the paint, waiting on him at the rim. And so that's another area that's going to free him up if he can knock down a few of those shots. And now bigs or whomever's on him, they have to come out and guard him a bit more.
Willie, circling back to your coaching staff, you were able to retain Coach Borrego. You know, he flirted with a couple head coaching jobs. How important was that from a continuity standpoint to keep him knowing there was a bunch of roster reconstruction and a different offensive philosophy this year?
Yeah, we're always excited when anybody on our staff gets an opportunity to have a lead position in other organizations. We're extremely, so it's bittersweet. Bitter in the sense that I know he wanted some of those jobs that he didn't get. But sweet for us that we have an opportunity to retain an extremely high character individual and talented coach. And he's been so helpful for me since day one, giving us clarity offensively. He's, structure. You guys have seen the improvements in our offense. And he's a heck of a person and a heck of a coach. And we're all, extremely glad to have him here.
And Griff talked about the amount of talent you guys have on this roster, and you've joked in the past, it's great to have that much talent, but it's also a challenge for a coach to make sure you're playing the right guys and, deciding that some guys just aren't going to play. I guess what's your approach with this team, making sure that everybody's going to continue to be bought in regardless of who's in the lineup, who's playing, who's on the bench, and knowing what the ultimate goal is?
Yeah, it's much of the same. I'm blessed with a talented roster, and it'll be up to us to figure it out and to all be bought in and to try to maximize his opportunity. At the same time, you can't play 12 guys, and, it's tough to play 12 guys in one game. So those will be communications that I have to have once we get out of camp, once we start to see more during the preseason. But like every season, there's, 10, 15, 20, whatever so games that the guys that aren't playing as much, they get an opportunity to come in and impact winning. And that's going to be important, how they approach that, how they approach every day, how they approach practice, how they approach their film work. And it'll be next man up mentality. So everyone on this team is important. Everyone at some point gets an opportunity. It's about maximizing those opportunities.
When you look at Jordan Hawkins and the influx of perimeter talent that there is on this roster, how do you try to find ways to keep him engaged and seeing that there's an opportunity for him to contribute on a regular basis? And then also the impact that Dejounte has on Herb Jones. We've seen them obviously talk with each other and about each other, but for Herb not having to be necessarily the guy on certain matchups every night, how does that free him up to be even a better defender potentially?
Well, we're all on Hawk about the opportunity that's in front of him. This season, going into year two, I want him to be as competitive as he's ever been, and try to carve out some minutes for himself. And these guys determine if they play. If he can come in and be consistent. He's been working his tail off with Coach Corey Brewer. So number one, starting on the defensive end, being able to hold his own defensively, knock down shots. So those things are going to be important for him, and we expect an extremely competitive camp out of Hawk. And then to your point, Dejounte and Herb, it allows Herb to be in different spots. It allows Dejounte to guard different guys. It was much like we had if you put Dyson and Herb on the court or Najee and Herb on the court, those guys, they cause havoc. You can take sometimes Herb off of primetime wing defenders, put them on fives. You can do a lot with those two guys defensively, and they cover a lot.
This is now your fourth year working with Herb and Trey. They've been here as long as you have. Just what can you tell us about the approach that those two guys have had this summer in general? And I know we've asked a lot of questions about the starting lineup, but those two as a pair specifically, like the net ratings when they're on the court together are perhaps the best out of any of your two-man pairings. Just how important is it for you to find as many minutes as possible with those two guys on the court together?
Yeah. Look, Griff has done a great job of creating continuity with this group and starting with those two from the time that they've gotten here. They're winners, and they're extremely professional in their approach to the game. When they step on the floor, they're competitors. So, we'll find as many minutes as we need to give us opportunities to win the game. But it really is their approach. Those two guys, they go after it. They go after it in practice. They complement one another. Both of them, 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", and Trey thinks he's 6'10", or what have you. But they're committed to defense. They're committed to becoming better rebounders. It's something I'm pushing them to do, and it's been fun watching those two guys continue to grow as human beings, but also as basketball players.
And just, like you have a unique situation where you have potentially like 6 top 100 players on your team. You guys used to run a lot of those like delay actions and 5-out offense, but now you have like, you throw out units with 5 guys that can all dribble, shoot, pass, take the cup. Like, just what kind of possibilities does that open up?
It's unlimited possibilities with the amount of talent that these guys have. So it'll be something that we continue to work on coming up. We all have ideas, our coaching staff, myself, but it's really about what this group is comfortable doing. But the opportunities are endless. It excites me to get on the floor with this group, to open up the game, to play fast. An area that I know we want to continue to improve in is attacking closeouts, getting to the rim, finishing, or making really good decisions. And a lot of times that's kick-out threes. But like I said, I'm tremendous blessed to have this group, and we're looking forward to starting tomorrow and going out and attacking the season.
I had one more, lineup question for you.
Yeah, sure.
I know Griff referenced Mike D'Antoni. I remember back to, the term micro ball center when P.J. Tucker played, center. Is there, a real possibility or conversations about Herb being a micro ball center and playing that position and guarding bigs?
We haven't necessarily had those conversations yet, but it's all on the table. I think we're going to be in a unique situation where we have those groups on the floor where, Herb can definitely play 5 or whomever. And I think it gives us versatility defensively. It makes it extremely difficult to guard us offensively. So it's definitely on the table, and it'll be something we continue to work at.
And for most of the time you've been here, the majority of bigs have been veteran guys that have been around, know their roles. Now you got 2 rookies in Missi and Matković with this team.
Yeah.
What's your feel on just where those guys are and how ready they'll be from day one to contribute, on the court?
Yeah, I think Bryson talked about it a bit, but, we have a plan for both of those guys. They're both young bigs coming in. And so for me as a coach, my communication to them is giving them an understanding of, what their role is going to be. You carve out minutes in camp and in practices, and so it's not a huge expectation that they're going to come in right away and, play 30 minutes. But if they can carve out minutes for themselves, great. If not, they still understand what they're working towards. And so it's more of a big picture, understanding going into the season, and hopefully we continue to see, not necessarily hopefully, we believe we're going to continue to see growth from both of our young bigs. Okay, thank you guys.